Okay, so in this video, you'll learn how to draw support and resistance correctly. And I've actually, broken it down into 3 very simple steps. So step 1, what you'll need to do is to zoom out your charts, right? The reason why you want to zoom out your charts is because in step 2, you want to draw the most obvious levels. And if you zoom out your charts, it makes your life much easier to know which are the most obvious levels you should be paying attention to. And finally, once the obvious levels are drawn out, then you just do some minor adjustment to get the most number of touches on the levels. Okay, so with that, right, let me explain more. Okay, so this is the chart of Euro Dollar, the daily time frame. I typically draw it off the daily time frame. You can draw it on the 4 hour or so if you wish. So again, what I want you to do is to make sure all of us are on the same page. Is that currently my monitor is about 23-inch monitor. Okay, so what I'll do is I click reset the chart. So the next thing I'll do is that for my mouse, right, your mouse, I have this what you call a mouse that can roll up and roll down. You know, that rolling thing on the mouse. So when I roll down, the chart will zoom out. So I roll out once, you can see that it has zoomed out once. I roll down another time, it has zoomed out another time. So typically I will roll about 15 times, right? So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So you can see that right now, my charts is much zoomed out. And if you want an objective measure, I can use this tool to calculate the number of bars on this chart. So the number of bars on this chart is about 1187 bars, about 1200. So again, this will differ from, different traders depending the size of your monitor. I'm using about 23-inch monitor. If you're using a laptop 17-inch, right, it may look slightly different. So but nonetheless, right, I want you to see that what the charts look like on my screen right now, so you have a good idea of how far back you should zoom. Okay, so once you have zoomed out your charts, the next step to do is to let me just get rid of this temporarily. Right, the next step is to draw the most obvious levels. Right, that is step 2. So let's do it right now. So this, I can see over here, are the obvious levels. All right, don't worry about adjusting it, just focus on getting it out on your charts first. Okay, I typically use black, but if you want to use a color that you like pink, right, I'm not going to stop you. Okay, these are the obvious levels. Okay, and pretty much I think I would say these are the most obvious levels that I'm seeing on my chart right now. Okay, so step 2 is done. We move on to step 3, which is to, remember, adjust the levels till you get as many touches as possible. So let me explain what this means. So for example, you see over here, okay, let's just focus on this portion. You see over here, I could draw the level here at this extreme high, but I would rather push it down slightly, right? Maybe up to even, let's say here, so I can get 3 touches, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 touches, instead of putting up at an extreme high where I only get 1 touch of this high over here. So I would, push it down slightly and get as many touches as possible, right? 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? So similarly for this, right, this portion here, instead of putting it, say, at this extreme low, I push it up slightly to get the touches, right? 1, 2, 3, and 4. So what you're trying to do is to get as many touches as possible on your level. Okay, so for this, right, you can see that I can put it down slightly and I get 3 touches. 1, 2, and 3. If you can't see it, I zoom in. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so similarly for this one over here, I just adjust it to get the most number of touches. 1, 2, 3, and 4. This one similarly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I push it up slightly, I could even get this one over here, but it looks pretty ugly as you see that a lot of the levels are exceeding the line. So you want to draw your level in a manner where it doesn't exceed the line by too much. So there is a little bit of discretion here to how much is too much and how little is too little. So use your eyeball and use common sense to judge. If the level exceeds by too much, right, it's better to retract back a little bit to get the most number of touches that align themselves with the level, instead of cutting it through too much and it looks too ugly. So this is basically it, right, on how I go about drawing my support resistance levels. So let's have a look at another example, right? Pound dollar. All right, let me remove this level first. Again, same thing. Let's reset my chart first, right? This is how your chart will look like from the start, and I zoom in my chart, right, 15 times. So I do it by just scrolling down on my mouse, right, 15 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Wow! Rainer can count his maths. Okay, so with that, let's move on to step 2. Mark out the most obvious level. This is obvious. This one over here is obvious. This is obvious. 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 And yep. And I'll explain to you later what about all these minor swing highs and lows that is on your charts later on. Okay, there's another one I see. It's quite obvious. This one. Okay. So again, right, step 3 is to adjust, right? So this one, there's nothing to adjust because it's just a very obvious, significant swing high or multi-year high. For this one, right, you can see that I try to get 1, 2, right? This one exceed by quite a little bit, but after which we got this one over here and this one over here, which is quite nice. So I'll leave it about something like this. Like push it up, no, push it down, right? So you can see that I got this one as well in. There's another one over here you can see. Okay, if you draw it here, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Push it up. Yep, it's quite nice. Okay, this one over here, somewhere about here, you got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one, right, you can see that if I push it down all the way here, I got 3 over here, 1, 2, 3. But this one is sticking out like a, quite ugly, right? So you can actually draw another one to highlight this obvious swing high over here. Okay, so now there are one thing if you notice, right, is that okay, there's another one here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So one thing you notice that there are a couple of levels that are very close to one another. I typically don't shade it, but if you want to shade it, you can, right? If it helps with your visual representation, you can just shade it out. Okay, like this. You can shade it out using this tool, like this, right? For those levels which are very close to one another. Okay, this is the tool that you can use. But as I've said, right, I typically don't do it. I prefer to leave my chart a clean, right, black and white. But this is something that is optional, and you can do it if you wish to. Okay, so let's go back and see this is how your charts look like right now. So as I've said earlier, what about all this, minor swing lows, swing highs and stuff like that? I typically don't draw them because if you think about this, if you were to draw them, your charts would look like, flooded with many, many lines, and it would tend to cause analysis paralysis. So although I don't draw them, I do know they exist. You can eyeball them and see that hey, these levels obviously exist, and these are all potential levels for taking a partial profit or a profit target if you wish to, right? These are possible levels that you can exit a portion of your trade, right, for swing trading especially, right? So this is what these levels are for, all these minor levels, and we'll talk about them in more details later under trade management, right, under a profit taking for swing trading. So yeah, but this is how I would draw my charts, and I just want to highlight to you how I do it. And it's not that I ignore these smaller levels, but they are more of a distraction if you put a line on them. So let's go through one more example before we conclude this exercise. So Aussie yen, okay, same thing. I will reset my chart once again and show you that I can count my math, right? Zoom out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so again, what is step 1? Well, mark out the most obvious levels, right? I see this, 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 I see this. So sometimes when you mark out at first, right, it may seem obvious, but after which when you look back, it's not that obvious. So you can always do some adjustment later on. Okay, so from what I'm seeing is all these are the levels. So this is a little bit not as clean. Okay, a lot of lines are jutting out of the levels that I've drawn. So nonetheless, right, let's look back, right? This is an obvious one, this one over here. So again, if you want to, you can draw like a box to zone it out. This is another one over here. You can see the number of touches, 1, 2. I mean, you can see, right? I'm not going to count and prove to you that I can count my math, okay? And I can count like a primary school kid. So you can see over here, right? Touches here, 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 here. Okay. So this one, let's see. If I put another level here, if I put another level, it may cut through very. Yeah. Okay. So you can see that this one is quite nice, but here cuts through really ugly. So if I put it down slightly, I'll just leave it out altogether. But you can see, right, based on your eyeball, right, if you're a swing trader, these are potential levels that, you could take something off the table. Okay, so this one again is quite an obvious level, very nice and clean. Okay, number of touches. If I put it down slightly, I got this too, but I neglect this too. So what I do is that I tend to give weightage to the most recent price action. So I'll move it up higher and get this two involved because these are the most recent price action. Okay, and not that I'm ignoring these two, but between a choice between the older and more recent price action, I give weightage to the recent price action. For this, right, you can see if I push it down slightly, right, I get this one over here, this one, and this one, more touches. Okay, so yeah, this is how I would draw my chart for Aussie yen. So this one over here, I think there's another one, right, which is not too bad as well. Something here. I think this is something that I drew previously. Again, this could be a zone. If you want it, you can draw it like a box, a zone if you want it to highlight this portion. Again, that's really up to you. Okay, so with that said, let's do a quick recap to how you are going to draw your support resistance level. Number one, zoom out your charts, right? I've just done it. I mentioned to you that, with the mouse cursor, the scroll, I scroll down about 15 times and it has about 1,200 bars on my screen. Again, this would differ from trader to trader depending on the size of your monitor. If you have like a 50-inch monitor, I'm not sure, maybe you can have more bars on your chart. I don't know, you have to, try it out. But the main thing is to make sure that you zoom out your charts, right? Make sure, you basically see the big picture. Okay, that really is important to help you make it easier for you to mark out the most obvious levels. And last but not least, right, you will adjust to get the most number of touches. And there's another thing to mention is bracket, right? I give more weightage to the recent price action compared to the older price action. Okay, so with that said, I have come to the end of this video and I'll see you in the next.